Am I the a-hole for calling the cops on my brother and ruining his wedding? I'm a 28 male, the middle child. My younger brother, Garrett, 23 male, has always been the baby in our family. My sister Heather, 30 female, would probably agree, but she doesn't think it's that bad. To me, though, it's been pretty obvious. The most glaring example I can think of is when Garrett got into a car wreck and our parents bought him a new car. I don't think they would have done that for me or my sister. I usually let things slide to keep the peace, but this time I wasn't going to have it. Growing up, Garrett would borrow things and never return them or would ruin them, and my parents wouldn't do anything about it. But God forbid I borrowed something from him. He'd throw a fit and my parents would side with him, punishing me. As we got older, it got better, but it still happened from time to time, but nothing I wasn't okay with not getting back. Recently, Garrett got engaged to his fiancée, Monica, 24 female. They've been planning their wedding for about 8 months. While on a tight budget, from what I saw, it was going to be really nice. 2 weeks before the wedding, Garrett asked me what I was going to wear since I'm standing up in the wedding. I said I was planning on wearing the tux from my wedding, black tie dress code. He then asked if he could borrow it. I was pretty annoyed because it was 2 weeks before the wedding and it's custom tailored to me, so it wouldn't fit him well at all. We argued about it for about an hour, and he left angry. Then my mom called me, telling me to let him use it for one day. I was getting more frustrated because not only was he being unreasonable, but I also didn't trust him not to get drunk and ruin my $5,000 tux. Eventually, I hung up on her. I kept ignoring the texts after that. 2 days before the wedding, I went to grab my tux, and it was missing. I asked my wife, and she hadn't touched it. We spent hours searching the house, but couldn't find it. Then she mentioned that Monica had come over to work on some wedding stuff, as she did similar things for our wedding, and offered to help. I immediately knew what happened. I called Garrett, and he didn't even deny it. He said I was being selfish and to calm down. It's just a piece of clothing. He hung up and blocked me. I called my parents to tell them about it, and they already knew. They thought I'd changed my mind about lending it to him. I was furious and demanded they make Garrett give it back. They told me I should think of the family and stop acting childish. I said they needed to act like parents and punish him, or I'd handle it myself. They got mad and tried to guilt me into backing down, but I wasn't having it. I told them they had until the morning of the wedding, or there would be consequences. They basically told me to rent a tux or not show up at all. After this, I had enough and had to do something about it. That morning, I reported my tux as stolen to the police. Since it was worth over $5,000, it was considered a felony. I told the police exactly where Garrett and the groomsmen were getting ready. I showed up, and sure enough, Garrett was already wearing my tux baggy and not flattering, by the way. After about 10 minutes of awkward silence, Mike, my brother-in-law, asked where my tux was. I pointed at Garrett, and he was confused but didn't say anything. Then a few minutes later, there was a knock on the door. 2 cops were standing there. Garrett immediately realized what was going on. He started yelling at me, but the cops quickly shut him down. They asked me if I had proof that the tux was mine, so I told them to check the waistband and the inner jacket pocket. Garrett tried to step back. The cop stopped him and forced him to open the jacket. As he does it, reveal my name embroidered inside. The cops asked if I still wanted to press charges. I asked Garrett, "Are you going to give it back?" He said, "How the hell am I supposed to get a new tux 2 hours before the wedding?" "No," I calmly replied, "don't worry. There won't be a wedding today," and told the cops I wanted to press charges. They arrested him. He lost it screaming and lunging at me before the cops restrained him. The rest of the family came out of the house to see what was going on, and everything hit the fan. My dad and Mike begged me to stop, but I told them I'd given them enough chances. Garrett was taken away, and the wedding was completely ruined. I spent the rest of the day with my wife while my phone was flooded with messages and calls from Monica, my parents, and even Heather. I just turned my phone off. On Tuesday, I finally got my tux back from the cops. I thought this had all finally been settled. The calls and texts even stopped. But then yesterday, I got served with a lawsuit. Apparently, Garrett and Monica are suing me for the money they lost on the wedding being moved to another date. I'm sitting here stuck with a lawsuit, my family furious with me, and feeling more alone than before.